Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome to the virtual recreation of Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. This is round 2 of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship. My name is David Christie, and as always, tonight I am joined by none other than the man himself, Mr. Alex Goldschmidt. Alex, good evening. How are you?
Bonsoir David, très bien, merci. Good evening, David. Very well, thank you very much. Of course, French being one of the local languages here at Spa-Francorchamps, based in Stavelot, and it's also part of it. If most people don't really know about this, David, that they're in the boundaries of Malmedy, the surrounding region, is where Spa is actually located. It's hosted the iconic 24 hours of Spa, 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps, and also the TCR Spa 500, and it's also home to the 25 Hours of Fun Cup for many of those people that might be watching that have got behind the wheel of the Beetle silhouettes and raced around this fantastic 6.93 kilometre circuit. Local temperature, virtually speaking, is a 57% chance of rain. It's partially cloudy, 22 degrees centigrade, albeit the temperatures that we've had across the UK, Ireland and Scotland, in the high 20s, in some places the low 30s. But we've got a 14 kilometre an hour wind here, David, and that's going to be just one of the many factors that I think we're going to be talking about as the as proceedings get underway here at Spa.
I think we absolutely will see that wind come in factor along the Kemmel Strait, but we're certainly going to bring your French pronunciation into play when we talk about the track itself and come through the different corner names. You'll certainly have a better pronunciation than I will here. But I think 57% chance of rain. I think we've got 100% chance of hijinks and fun tonight. Certainly after rounds 1 and 2 at Okayama International Circuit. Just very quickly looking back on that, Alex, it was a wonderful entry and a wonderful way to start off the series, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, back then, we looked at this, SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Series Championship with great anticipation, and it didn't really disappoint because now we've got two different race victors from the first two races. We had Vic Covey in race 2, and then obviously Fraser Williamson in race 1. And Fraser also, as a behest of obviously taking pole position for race 1, took an initial lead, but then it's Sam Corson in the 68 who now leads the standings by just 2 points ahead of Lewis Ward and Jack Eyre, who are both tied on 49 coming into this round. And I've been having a look at the championship standings, David, and when you look at, say, the top 9, which is rounded off by the number 16 of Rethink Racing's Adam Brown in the BMW M4 GT4, one of about what is effectively just under 30% of the grid, because the majority of them have been all taken up by the Porsches on that particular aspect. So, it's just going to be, it just decided to, as the screen on my side has just decided to have a bit of a moment, and then it's come back on.
I just realised you didn't see what I was actually putting out there. So just as you said about the leaderboards, the standings, I thought we'll bring up some of the scores there. And I mean, there are some big names up on that leaderboard, and obviously those are just the 15 out of the 37 that we've got taking part, and we will go through as many as we can through the course of this evening. But I mean, how much is tactics going to come into play, Alex, through the rest of the season? We saw it could have been seen as a very measured drive from some in race 2. We'll just completely glaze over the start. We'll pretend that never actually even happened.
Yes, and I think I think a few drivers, and I'm not going to mention any names, and I am a man of my word on this, will not be mentioned, because there were a couple of people who were looking really, really good, and literally before we'd even hit the first corner at Okayama, carnage ensued. That was the worst double file rolling start that I have ever seen. And I've commentated over 300 Rotax kart races in Europe, and never have I seen a double file rolling start so unorganised in all my life. So hopefully things will be a bit different here in Stavelot.
I hope so too, because that was wild, to put it very, very mildly.
I think there's a few other choice words that a few of the drivers will definitely be hurling in your general direction if you check
Listen,
your DMs, maybe.
Alex, if I want to come back for week 3, then I think we'll be using some polite language. But yeah,
Yes,
you're
yes.
absolutely right. It was a very, very difficult thing to watch, and even to commentate on as well, to try and keep a straight face when you've got so many cars. And it's easy for us because we're not sitting in that bunch of 35 plus cars. I've been in that situation where you come up to a rolling start in an event that you've been taken very, very seriously, and when something like that happens, it's safe to say that you go absolutely mental, because you get so frustrated at what happens.
I couldn't agree more because these drivers are treating. This is when the initial trailer for this, when it said time to get serious, and that is the whole benefit of us moving to this iRacing platform, is now qualification. 15 minutes underway here at this fantastic circuit. So yeah, really, it's a marathon, not a sprint. The 1 hour races are where I think some tides are going to turn a little bit, David. But in the double 30s that we've got, especially like we've had here, there's Grant Angus on your screen in the number 23. Some of the drivers now starting to come out on their outlaps, but it's a long circuit around here. And I've seen that in free practice just before we went on air, David, that Fraser Williamson in the Porsche was actually quicker than anybody, and actually did a sub 2-minute 30. So the Porsches, I think, and speaking of which, there is the 369 as you put it on the screen there. So it's going to be very interesting. But one of the biggest things about Spa is it's not just about straight line speed. It's about carrying corner momentum through. And if you've got the car set up underneath you to the right perspective, when you go through Pouhon, Bruxelles, Les Combes, Stavelot, Blanchimont, you've got to really have that car nailed on corner speed. You've also got to be very precise. And if people are going to try and go around the outside at certain corners like Blanchimont, Stavelot, or trying to go into the bus stop chicane before you cross the start-finish line, there could be some people that think, well, we've had round 1 out of the way. Now we've got to start gathering points. So you'll see those drivers that will risk it, some that won't. And it is all about those that favour the chance of the prepared mind. And the way that Fraser Williamson started things off last time out a couple of weeks ago, that's a sign of things to come from that particular driver. But I'm wondering how the BMWs might factor in towards the tail end of the season, because the power to weight ratio, as I discussed with you last week, the Porsches have a straight line advantage. They have about 10 brake horsepower less, but they're nearly 100 kilos lighter than the BMWs. So whether the SMRC organising committee will decide on a potential BOP change, it is at their discretion, but we're still running with the same stats that we had last time out at Okayama.
Yeah, the big elephant in the room, of course, is the baptism of fire that the BMW has had there, Alex. Obviously, brand new into this new season of iRacing, so it's the first chance for everyone to get a grip and get to grips with it. And one of the things that's overwhelmingly coming out this week is that the BMW really does struggle with tyre management around here at Spa. And I know what they've been looking to do is they were going to have a look at the balance of performance after tonight, after Spa. And I do wonder how they're going to be able to do that, because what will happen is you've obviously got the championship, the SMRC, who are going to be looking after their own balance of performance tweaks and things like that. But then you're also going to have iRacing, who quite actively listen to the community and then make their own car changes. In fact, there was a car update just today for the BMW. So it'd be interesting to see how those two pan out. But I think over tonight, Porsche's certainly going to have the advantage, I would imagine. But we said that at Okayama, we said that Porsches should have the upper hand, and yet we still saw a handful of BMWs in the top 10.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it was, I feel really sorry for people like Logan Hanna, who had a bit of a difficult first round. There's Scott Smith in the 101 BMW. So yeah, there's so many different drivers here that have decided to go with the BMW. I mean, Scott Smith in the 101 is just one of them. You've also got Cameron Ritchie, Andrew Hopley, Mr. Two Thumbs Fresh, obviously with his profile picture that we currently see whenever his vehicle shows up. You've got Mark Cuthbert. You've also got Logan Hanna, as I mentioned earlier. She's one of the many privateers. You've got Kieran Smart, Stephen Graham, Scott Smith, Jeff Wentworth, Chris Knox. But I think really, Kieran Smart was the standout in race 2 at Okayama and showed until he got... I think probably in his eyes, the words will probably be a bit different if he was to mention about it now to us, but we can't broadcast it, is sort of unceremoniously pushed out of the way, is the term I would use in race 2, when he was doing that fantastic job. He had that great three-way scrap just behind him.
And one of the things that we've seen that set itself apart, because obviously we do the SMRC, the eSports Racing Summer Championship, as well as the iRacing Summer Championship. The Racing Summer Championship tends to be aimed towards the consoles, and then obviously we do the iRacing one. And what we've seen from this, it's almost spoiled us in a way in terms of the console championship, because we see 36 cars who, yeah, fair enough, there's a good amount of bumping and banging and door shoving, but for the most part, everyone's just getting on with their thing, and there's some wonderful, wonderful racecraft on display.
Yeah, definitely, and we saw that in race 2 at Okayama last time out, as Fraser Williamson, with just over 5.5 minutes completed here in qualifying, is leading the pack on provisional pole, 2 minute 30.60 ahead of Lewis Ward. Peter Butcher up into P3. Michael Weddle, he's currently in 4th. Sam Spinell, one of the multiple Rethink Racing entries, who do have a BMW in their ranks as well. Sam's currently now Oh, well, look at the lap time from Kieran Smart, and the BMW's gone P4 on a 2:32.28 on that particular occasion, and he's the leading BMW. Scott Smith, who's just come across the line in the 101 BMW, he's in 9th, and then Mark Cuthbert rounds out the top 12, so a bit more of a good showing from the BMW M4s in pure lap pace here at Spa.
Yeah, Kieran Smart there. Of course, what happens is that it is a solo qualifying run that these drivers get. They are on their own on the track, so they essentially have it to themselves, so that they can't come into any mischief, and they can't be any other issues with any other drivers on track. You can have it where they're on track at the same time together, but I think this works out much fairer for the drivers, Alex.
It does, and normally from previous qualifying sessions, I've seen it where I've seen 10-minute qualification sessions, and you just get 2 laps registered with iRacing. So you get 2 laps on your Todd, no one to disturb you, you don't get any draft, you don't get any assist, you're out there pushing the limits of adhesion on the 4 contact patches we know as tyres. And that's the biggest thing, that it's about who hooks it up the best. And
sorry, Alex, I was just about to say, and this is also where the amount of practice that these drivers have been putting in really comes to the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking down the order as well. It's about how they shine after doing all that practice. As David Simons just had a moment. Grant Angus coming out has just had a moment, apparently. I think Michael Weddle's had one. Simon's in the pits, so he's probably done the escape job there. John Lang, Ronald Korsman, Vic Covey, Jordan Gronkowski, Jack Eyre, Cameron Ritchie, Rory Bryant, Chris Knox, Grant Angus, Peter Moore and Sam Corson have yet to set a lap time. And there's Blair McConaughey, who unfortunately was in the, let's just say, 6 foot deep in the mire last time out. Poor Blair. But, I mean, we had the incident where Blair rejoined on the track at Okayama, and then all of a sudden, Weddle comes through and gets clipped by the 34. And I know it's not a nice thing to remind people of incidents, but it's part of the story. It's part of the journey that we're going on with this, this fantastic initiative from the SMRC to do an iRacing Summer Championship. And the practice is now showing that these drivers really, really want to compete. Andrew Hopley, currently P7 in the 25, has just had a bit of a moment. I think Scott Smith has just gone up to 16th. So top 25 at the moment. They are separated. Well, Sean Dobie's actually the one rounding it out at the moment. Is Blair McConaughey actually goes P19 on that effort, the 2 minute 34. David Simon has another off-track excursion. Andrew Hopley is the fastest BMW M4 GT4 in the 25, and he's only 1.3 seconds off. It's not. I thought the gap between the Porsche And the BMW, David, might have been a little bit more than that, probably about 1 3/4 seconds, maybe even 2 seconds off.
I was expecting that as well, but we're already seeing some really blistering lap times. So we see Andrew Hopley really throwing that BMW around, and that's not going to be too kind to the tyres. Just a very, very quick hello to chat. Josh Martin on Facebook. Any plans for ACC/Assetto Corsa stuff in future? You may find that they do some stuff towards the later half of the year. Certainly, I know they've got some more stuff planned for the autumn, but nothing's been decided as of yet. So if you register your interest and let them know. Wayne wants to know, has there been a balance of performance update on the BMWs, or can we disregard them for a race win already?
That's a toughie.
That's a toughie, right? And let's be honest about this. We've spoken already that they really have their hands tied behind their back later on in the race with the tyre management. There's no getting away from that. We don't know. We've seen what the times are in through practice. We've seen the some of the information, the data coming in from practice. We'll have to see how that goes. But Wayne, what I would say as well is look at how race 2 started last time. So they've got a real difficult challenge ahead of them for sure. But we can't say that there's absolutely no chance of getting a win from them. They're certainly on the pace. And a very good evening finally to Ian Wilson. Ian is one of the drivers in the console championship, so it is great to see him joining us on tonight for the iRacing one. So, Alex, 4.5 minutes left to go, or just over 4 minutes left to go. Still Fraser Williamson on pole, but that margin, just 1/10 of a second, nearly 2/10 of a second, so slender.
Yeah, but Andrew Hopley's improving all the time. I mean, look out. I mean, he's got it down to just over 1.431 seconds. He's now up to P9. Kieran Smart is also improving. So the BMWs later on in the session, I think these guys have been conserving their tyres, because qualifying doesn't just give you an opportunity to put in your lap time. It also gives you that opportunity to see how the track evolves and how your car reacts. And that's another factor that we need to put into here, because, you could see possibly someone like, just straight away, as I've just seen on the screen there from Fraser Williamson, you can see that he might have lost the back end a little bit there, probably going through that fast right-hander, and it's pushed him wide for the next corner. So it's never quite easy to get the balance 100% spot on here at Spa, because you've got to sometimes compromise how the car runs out of the corners and how you approach the corners as well, because not having the perfect apex speed is not always going to give you the perfect line out of the corner.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Certainly some wonderful analysis there from Alex Goldschmidt. So 2.5 minutes left to go in the qualifying session. It looks fairly comfortable right now for Fraser Williamson at the top of the timing screens just now. He's still got the fastest sector overall for Sector 1, and to be honest, I think the only real person, oh my goodness me, is Fraser Williamson, has almost destroyed his car live in qualifying, and that is a huge moment. And I don't think he's going to have enough time to put another lap in. So that is going to be his qualifying over. Now, whether or not that was an accident, or he thought, yep, I'm done, I'm just going to put it off in the most spectacular fashion, I'm not sure.
That was definitely spectacular. He took out, both front wheels, the uprights were gone, the bonnet was missing, the tailgate was askew, and where the hell was the rear wing, is my honest question on that one.
Yeah, that was I'm not too sure what to say about that one, goodness me, right. But he still stays on pole. The only man that could possibly challenge him is Lewis Ward, who is just about to start another lap. He will get one more lap after this. So Lewis goes across the line just now. What can he do? Comes across the line. Doesn't improve. He does actually, sorry. 230.415. That is unbelievable. At the last possible moment where Fraser Williamson bins it. And that is the most spectacular drama I think we'll see in qualifying tonight.
You know what that means? That provisionally puts him in the lead of the standings ahead of Sam Coulson, because that gives him 5 points for qualifying on pole, doesn't it?
It certainly does. So that is
that puts him on 54 ahead of Sam Coulson. And where is Coulson at the moment? He's down in 9th position as Jack Air goes P4 on 2 minute 31.197. So before we've even started the first of the double 30s here at Spa, David, we've got a new championship leader as we've got less than 60 seconds on the clock to go.
Yep, let's run from P20 onwards. P20 is David Simon so far, Scott Smith in 21st, Anil Singh in 22nd, 23rd Tom Jones, Mark Cuthbert in 24th, Blair McConaughey still on track but it looks like he is done and dusted in 25th, Logan Hanna qualifies in 26th place, Jacqueline Chalmers still on track as well, actually she's just pitted just now, P27, Ian Erasmus in P28, P29 is Raymond Davies, Cameron Ritchie is in P30 and then Sean Dobie in 31st. And to be honest, that looks to be all of the cars that are out on track just now. Let's see if Blair McConaughey's finished his lap. He can't improve. Jacqueline Chalmers as well. Wow, that is some high octane drama, Alex, right at the end there.
Thank goodness Fraser Williamson doesn't have to foot the repair bill on that one, that's for sure. My goodness. But yeah, what a way to put yourself out of qualifying. But this is going to be the lineup for our first of two 30-minute races here at Spa-Francorchamps with Lewis Ward starting on pole position. Fraser Williamson alongside on the front row. Then it's Peter Butcher and Jack Eyre. Jordan Gronkowski and Martin Buchan rounding out the top three rows ahead of Michael Weddle and Ronald Korsman. Then we got Sam Corson, Andrew Hopley rounding out the top 10 ahead of Sam Harper and Kieran Smart in 12th position.
P13 then for Sam Spinell ahead of Rory Bryant on the grids. John Lang in 15th alongside Vic Covey. Vic Covey behind Rory Bryant yet again. This is going to be fireworks. Chris Knox in P17 with Peter Moore in 18th. Gary Brown and David Simon 19th and 20th. Scott Smith in P21 alongside Anil Singh in 22nd. And then it's Tom Jones in 23rd and 24th is going to be Mark Cuthbert. And then rounding out the grid we have Blair McConaughey in P25, Logan Hanna in P26, Jacqueline Chalmers in P27, Ian Erasmus in P28, and then Raymond Davis, Cameron Ritchie 29th and 30th, Sean Dobie and Grant Angus 31st and 32nd place. Well, oh well, oh well. Would you believe it?
Yeah. I can't really believe what happened to Fraser, because if he had kept that on track, he could have possibly gotten another 2 laps under his belt because there was enough time. But the grid, David, is all about to get underway. We'll have a rolling start behind the Porsche safety car here at Spa-Francorchamps. The first of 2 races here for round 2 of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship.
Here we go then. The pace car pulls off, and I think we're going to have a very, very short warm-up session because we're already at the back half of the circuit here. We are already coming round past Blanchemont. We're coming up to the chicane, and here we go. The pace car will pull in and we will be underway, and remember it's going to be Lewis Ward beside Fraser Williamson on that dive down towards turn 1, down towards La Source. And let's hope they can get a cleaner getaway than before. I'm nervous, Alex. Are you?
Now, that's not good for Jack Eyre, because he went wide as we are about to go racing here at Spa-Francorchamps. Red lights are on the starting gantry. I think that might be classed as a false start. No, lights are out, and I think we are racing.
Yep, we are underway then down in towards La Source. The cars make their way through. Lewis Ward still in the lead then ahead of Fraser Williamson, and the cars make their way on the run down towards Radion and Eau Rouge. A beautiful, beautiful sight here, a crisp summer night at the virtual recreation of Spa-Francorchamps, and the cars start to spread themselves out very, very nicely indeed. It's on towards the Kemmel Straight, and let's have a little look further back. That is Sam Spinell down in 11th place at the moment, and we have had a remarkably drama-free start to the race. Look at that, almost 3 wide as they're coming down the straight there. We've got carnage going on behind there. That looks to be a car that's upside down.
Logan Hanna out again. That car is going absolutely nowhere. That's one of the BMWs out. Look how askew that car is, David. Absolutely written off.
Let's see what happened there, yeah.
Right, okay, so Logan Hanna comes to Eau Rouge, through into Radion, The back end of the BMW starts to twitch, goes out to the left, bang into the barriers, and I think that's Blair McConaughey.
No,
that's been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh my goodness! And there's one of the missed Apex cars that I think has just been caught in that.
Not so good. Yeah, you hate to say it. There's Blair McConaughey. Substantial damage to the back of his car. Then.
Yeah, but it's a real shame for Logan Hanna. But already Andrew Hopley is making up places. He was in the lower part of the top 11. He's now up into P8, Mr. Two Thumbs Fresh, as we're going to nickname him for the rest of the season. He's got Sam Coulson, who up until qualification ended, was the points leader coming into this round from Okayama. But Lewis Ward has gathered a gap of around about 0.4 of a second ahead of Fraser Williamson, who took the race 1 victory. Here's Hopley quickly on the back bumper of Coulson, getting an absolutely fantastic tow. And he's got Martin Buchan up ahead in the pink Porsche. We do know that Martin does like his brightly coloured cars, and that's the same with the E-Team Brit GT3 Challenge and Cinetic BMW Series that we'll be doing tomorrow evening, David.
Yeah.
But Martin doing a great job in P6, but look how close that Fraser Williamson is closing on the back of Lewis Ward as they come through the bus stop chicane.
I did have an absolute heart attack there because my live timing screen is currently saying that every single driver is going through pit lane at the moment, and when you see the leader saying that he's into pit lane, it's not so good. But have a look at that though. Fraser Williamson now just 0.2 of a second behind your race leader, behind Lewis Ward there, and look at the lap times coming in there, low 240s to the 230s, so interesting to see how the lap times compare there. But this is going to set itself up because, like say, 27 minutes left to go. He's going to have him on the Kemmel Straight actually. Let's have a look here, side by side then.
He's coming out of the toe too early, I think. He's trying to go around the outside.
Yeah.
Going towards Lecombe, unless he can power. He got past him. But look at the switchback straight away from Lewis Ward. If Lewis tries to do the cutback through Lecombe, so this is turn 7, 8 and 9 before they head to Bruxelles down in turn 10. So it's now the deep descent, and we're 414 feet above sea level, but there's a lot of elevation change here as well. And down through these lower corners, especially going through the double left at Puan, and then you go into Stavelot at turn 5, the double right at Stavelot. And it's about carrying that momentum. And Fraser Williamson, David, has just turned a 0.2 of a second deficit into a 0.3 of a second advantage. But Lewis Ward will know that he's now got the opportunity. It's one thing to get the lead. It's another thing to keep it all together. And the same can be said for 3rd, 4th and 5th. You've got Butcher, Air and Gronkowski battling over the final step of the rostrum.
And I think one other thing that's going to come into play as well is the fact that, as I said earlier, it's a 30-minute race. Tyre management is going to be so huge throughout the course of the race. Let's have a look further down the field then, because Ian Erasmus is currently trying to hold off 3 cars right behind him. That is Raymond Davis, Mark Cuthbert, Sean Doby, and we can see Jacqueline Chalmers just off of that train in the background as well. They're about 25 seconds to 30 seconds off of your race leader, and this is one thing that we touched on about 2 weeks ago in our round 1 coverage, is that no matter where you are on the track, you're always going to be in a battle with another driver, or at least one other driver.
Unfortunately, the other car, when we saw the incident involving Blair McConaughey, Logan Hanna and Anil Singh, Anil Singh has also retired from the race in the number 42 Missed Apex Racing Team Porsche. As Rasmus coming through, as just behind, there is a great little battle.
Sean Doby off into the wall there. We saw him lose control of the Porsche there and go almost off into the wall. I do believe that he did just miss the barrier there, so he recovers, gets himself back going, and he'll be now trying to get himself a top 20 finish. And he's got a lot of work to do there. Sorry about that, Alex.
No, that's fair enough. I think Grant Angus has also had a moment as there's the battle between the number 28 and the number 2 BMW. So that is Mark Cuthbert and Raymond Davies. And Cuthbert's going to get Davies on the run into La Source. But there's an interesting fact that when Sir Jackie Stewart, 3-time Formula 1 world champion, was asked, do you think that Eau Rouge is the most fearsome corner in motorsport? He said no. The Master Kink, when it was under its original 17-something kilometre long circuit before they brought it to what it is in the present day, that was the most feared corner in motorsport, the Master Kink, and it was only at Spa-Francorchamps. So I'm going to throw these little bit of historical tidbits to your way and the general direction of our audience, and the action just so far with just under 6.5 minutes completed out of the first 30 minutes race here at Spa has been absolutely breathtaking thus far.
It certainly has, and on the nostalgic fact there, it's a wonderful thing because we hear it all the time about, you know, the historic Monza, historic Nürburgring, historic Spa, and for our generation, we only ever get to see them in either video or through simulation representations. And I don't know about you, Alex, but they absolutely frighten the death out of me looking at some of these tracks and thinking, you know, the safety aspect of some of the cars back then as well was almost non-existent. You had a cardboard hat to wear as you were hurtling around these tracks at say 100 to 120 miles an hour. It's a completely different breed of people that get behind the car nowadays, where they're almost these hyper trained elite athletes that get behind the wheel.
Yeah, very much the case. I mean, the old circuit that ran between 1939 and 1978 was 14.1 kilometres. So in our language, it was 8.761 miles, 21 turns, and the race lap record was set by Henri Pescarolo in the Matra in the World Sports Car Championship back in 1973. And that took 3 minutes, 13.4 seconds. And you know, Spa, in its first iteration, which was the original pre-war circuit that ran until 1938, just before the outbreak of the Second World War, was nearly 15 kilometres in length, and it had 25 turns, and it would take over 5 minutes to complete on one lap. And you look at what we get now at Spa. I mean, what the Formula One car's doing now at the minute, 1 minute 46 is. Valtteri Bottas has the lap record for a race in 2018 with Mercedes, you know, it's quite interesting how things have changed over time. I mean, let's not forget that Sir Jackie Stewart is one of the advocates for safety. You know, the biggest man that was a catalyst for safety in Formula One, obviously after the untimely passing of his teammate François Sévère in the 70s, when Formula One was a very different animal back then. But here we are now with Jordan Gronkowski running in P5. But then just look behind. Andrew Hopley is closing on Sam Coulson, and he's bringing along with him Martin Buchan, Ronald Korsman, and Kieran Smart. So 2 BMWs in the top 10, 3 BMWs in the top 15, with Chris Knox in 13th place.
Now, what we'll do is we'll keep an eye on the lap time from the BMW there. We'll have a quick look. 2:32.510. So that is a very, very fast lap. We'll come back to that in about 20 minutes time and see how his tyres are actually holding up towards the end of the race, and we'll see for ourselves what that fall off is like. But look at that, that's 4 BMWs now in the top 20. Michael Weddle as well, we cut to him earlier. He's away down in 20th place, so obviously he's had a bit of a mishap there, as we see Andrew Hopley losing out almost to Martin Buchan. A bit of contact there. Martin Buchan up on 2 wheels and loses out, sent 8th place there to Ronald Grossman. He is not going to be happy at that one. And yeah, I think you can say maybe the BMW is slightly more robust than the little tiny Porsche.
The little wee bairn, as they would say. Sorry, I just had to put that in.
You had to, did you?
I just had to. Sorry. Oh, come on, stop it! It's only just. It's only just. Well, I mean, the thing is that when we talk about little one here in the UK, that's what you guys say in Scotland. So I thought, well, I'll just bring a bit of.
We say wee
how
one.
can I say? Colloquialism.
Colloquialism. You are one of us. We've adopted you. You're an honorary Scot for the next couple of weeks.
Well, next few months, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing was that Andrew actually had the line for the corner. Martin tried to go around the outside. So I would class that potentially as a racing incident, because now that was very, very lucky. That was Korsman trying to get past Hopley there, going through La Source, and now Martin Buchan's got the run to the outside.
Oh no,
of the
too wide.
Porsche.
Oh, there we go. Thinks better of it. And that's one of the big differences, Alex, from this and the console championship. Guaranteed. Every single time as we see Ronald Grossman running very, very wide. And what's it they say in iRacing? They say you cut the course, you're going to have to give up the time gains. Is the absolute hated words that you hear from your spotter in iRacing, meaning that you've got a time penalty and you have to give it up as they come towards the chicane here, and Ronald Grossman just holds on to that position ahead of Martin Buchan. Have a look at Kieran Smart though. He is sniffing about for 9th place as well, so a cracking little battle going on for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th right now, but still at the head of that train is Andrew Hopley. Let's have a look further down the field as well, because we've got a brilliant battle going on for I think it was 17th place at the moment. So we see David Simon retiring from the race. So we've got 4 retirements. David Simon, Ian Erasmus, Anil Singh and Logan Hanna have...
Before I forget, David Simon's actually rejoined. So that was a very quick pit there for the number 18 who started in P20. Timing's just adjusted, so...
Yeah, I've just seen that now, so yeah, we'll catch back up with him just now. At the back of the field, though, Blair McConaughey, his day is going from bad to worse, all the way down now into 26th place. So he is really struggling, but have a word with Grant Angus, up 10 positions into 22nd place there. He's having a cracking little race right now, and he's looking to try and get himself a top 20 finish.
That's a pretty good showing, and it just shows the pure pace of the Porsche as well. And so I think what he's just concentrating on is just concentrating on his own race, as Peter Butcher now closing on Jack Eyre. The gap between them is about 0.3 of a second as they come across the line. And Peter Butcher, David, was nearly 0.3 of a second quicker than Jack Eyre on that particular lap. Most positions gained is actually Grant Angus in 22nd. Scott Smith has made his way up from 21st to 17th. Peter Moore up from P18 to P13. So a lot of drivers are making some good positional up increases here, as Peter Butcher hot on the heels of Jack Eyre through Eau Rouge, up the crest through Radillon onto the Camel Straight. Now what Peter Butcher's got to do here is time it right. He's going to jink to the left. And this is exactly a textbook of what we saw. So using that slipstream, I think when I said that Fraser Williamson had come out a bit too early on Lewis Ward, I was actually incorrect. So both him and Peter Butcher have proved me wrong by my initial prediction. So
I think, to be fair, the camera angle is quite deceiving on that one, because it makes it look like they're a little bit further away than they actually are, and we don't really get a sense of the momentum that Peter Butcher obviously had on that corner. But have a look in the background there, Alex. Jordan Gronkowski, he's looking like he wants to get involved in this little battle as well for the final podium space.
He has, and he's just been in a personal best of a 2-minute 31.69 as we're on lap number 6 of this race.
Ronald Grossman has now dropped down 12 positions. He's now down in 20th place. We saw Ronald fighting up there for, I believe it was 8th and 9th place, and he is now dropping all the way back to the end of the field. In fact, is that him moving off? I wonder if he's got severe damage. In fact, that was Gary Brown, I think, moving off to the side there. But Ronald Grossman really struggling with that car.
Yeah, I think he had an off-track excursion, because his lap time last time around, David, was over 2 seconds off his fastest lap of this race. I mean, the personal best for a courseman, he's dropped from 8th place on the grid after qualification all the way down to 19th. Chris Knox, I've just noticed, has had a moment off track, currently in P13 in the 888. So, yeah, I mean, but now Fraser Williamson, he's doing exactly what he did at race 1 at Okayama. He's got a gap of 1.8 seconds. And that's not easy when you've had Lewis Ward chase you down for about 6 laps as they're crossing the start-finish line now. A 2-minute 31.12, a 77 from Williamson. Ward, 0.5 of a second off. So the gap is quite equidistant between these two. Personal best from Chris Knox and Vic Covey. That's for 13th and 14th. So yeah, I think Williamson, again, we're halfway through this 30-minute race here, David, and Williamson, as soon as he gets to the front, he bolts like a cat with a rocket up its backside. As there's Blair McConaughey.
More bad news. It's a horrible day for Blair McConaughey right now. He is really struggling with that car, and he's it's incredibly easy to do. I tried doing a little hot lap for a hot lap video for this. It just didn't happen on the stable setup. These cars do not like touching the curbs at all. They unsettle the car way more than the BMW. They're just so unstable when you use the undulations. And you mentioned it earlier on as well, Alex. It's not just the elevation change, but the surface changes here at Spa. It's a lot bumpier than you would actually give it credit for.
Yeah, especially through the bus stop chicane. I mean, that if many people might remember, Spa was one of the famed places where Lewis Hamilton had to give the place back to Kimi Raikkonen because he actually cut the chicane, and that's not the easiest thing to do. It's quite bumpy, because it's an uphill climb into turn 19. Then you've got to go camber to the right, camber to the left. It's undulating like I don't know what underneath the cars, and that's where some of the bumps come in. You're going to have the camber changes like where we're seeing Martin Buchan now as he's coming through. I think that's Pouon that is just coming through now down the hill. So go through turns 13, 90 kilometers an hour in fifth gear. We'll make that. He was pushing close to 130 going into the braking zone from fifth to third. So that's 130, which is around 80 miles an hour. And now they're going to pick up the speed again here. And you can see that Andrew Hopley isn't that far behind him in the BMW. And I must be completely honest, Kieran Smart is doing a great job. He's ahead of Sam Spinell.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, and I'd be interested to see how these are going to work out, these lap times, because they don't seem to be falling away from the Porsches as much as we expected them to do. But Andrew Hopley and Kieran Smart firmly in the top 10 at the moment. Sam Spinell and Rory Bryant in the mix for a little battle as well. So this is shaping up very, very nicely with just over 12 minutes left to go in the session. Have a look though at Rory Bryant as we see a move on the inside by Kieran Smart and Sam Spinell. Sam Spinell trying to take that place on the final, the old bus stop chicane, but Kieran Smart just very rugged, very just a great defensive drive there. Made him use all the track, made Sam go to the outside of the corner, and knew if he wanted to push the matter, he was going to get some extra off-track penalties for it as well. So brilliant move there from Kieran Smart and some great defensive driving. Now we wanted to have a look at the lap time, so let's have a look here at the last times around for the cars there. So we can see the BMWs, Kieran Smart, Andrew Hopley, now they're down to 235s that last time round. Kieran Smart you can understand because he's under pressure, but Andrew Hopley is in clear air at the front. So I wonder if this is where we're starting to see, Alex, these times starting to fall off.
Well, I mean, especially when you look at Martin Buchan's times, and he's doing 233s. Sam Spinell finally gets past Kieran Smart for P9. Martin Buchan's running in a 233.1s. Andrew Hopley on his best lap. Well, I mean, Andrew Hopley was 1.1 seconds behind. We're on board with Kieran Smart now, who's trying to chase back down Sam Spinell, who's of dual nationality, English and Belgian. So this effectively is one of his home tracks here in the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship. But Kieran Smart now coming under pressure from Rory Bryant now, and Bryant is looking a bit more sprightly in terms of lap times. He did a 2-minute 35.3. Kieran Smart did a 2:35.61 last time around. So there is a bit of a, how can I say, there's a bit of a I think as we were talking about earlier, the BMWs having a bit of a problem with the tyres. I mean, considering the fact that the Porsches, as I said last time out at Okayama, they have their engines mounted on the rear, so that's going to give the car more traction. Whereas with the BMWs, the centre of gravity is going to be a bit askew. Oh, big off there. Bit of an off there from Kieran Smart, and that's going to allow Rory Bryant to go in the tow. And just behind them, David, is Peter Moore up from P18 to P12.
Yep, have a look at that. He's getting onto the back of that little battle as well, and this is brewing. This really is brewing, because you've got to feel that these BMWs are going to become a cork in the bottle as the tyres start to give up. And the data that was coming out was basically from both the drivers here on the Discord channel and on the iRacing forum. So we see Peter Moore making a bit of a mistake there, and yeah, he's lost all of that time that he's gained up there. But quite simply, the BMWs are absolutely cooking their tyres after about 10 laps.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. Is now then John Lang is closing on Chris Knox as the sunlight is starting to fall a little bit here. So the headlights on all the competitors' cars are now ablaze, and you can just see how much closer John Lang is as bit of a moment for both Rory Bryant and also Peter Moore. I've just noticed there as they were battling away for position. So Rory's dropped off the back bumper of Kieran Smart, and the gap has now extended to about 0.6 of a second. But Rory's quickly back on it.
Just saw that there, and we can see a move on the Kemmel Straight there as Chris Knox holding on, or at least trying to hold on to that 13th place there from Vic Covey behind him. And yeah, this is going to be awesome stuff. As Vic Covey, I think, very briefly took that position from him, but the BMW is really struggling. And the way that will manifest itself is that whenever Chris tries to fire on the anchors, it'll just understeer out, and you can see that there. We can see that Vic Covey is much faster on the corners. He's got better grip, better traction, and a better drive out of the corners as well. So this is really a testing time, not only for Chris Knox, but for, say, Andrew Hopeley up there, as Andrew is passed now. Wasn't Andrew already passed by? Oh no, it was Kieran Smart that was passed by Sam Spinell. So Sam making another place up. So Sam up into 8th place there, and Andrew Hopley is falling down into 9th. And actually, he's going to fall into the clutches of Kieran Smart there as well.
Just looking at the lap times, because Andrew was actually 0.7 of a lap, 0.7 of a second quicker than Kieran on that last lap. So I think that it's going to be the boot on the other foot with regards to Kieran, because he's very quickly looking at the potential of losing as Peter Moore gets past Rory Bryant now for P11. So Rory's had a bit of a drama, I think. Martin Bucker, though, I think, has just had an off-track. Sam Spinell has just had, I think, probably where the track, when we see off-track, it's either it's a major incident or it's where the driver's exceeded, like I say, 2 wheels on the curbs as such, showing up for Jack Eyre as well. But I think really Peter Moore, if he closes up, he's 0.3 of a second behind Kieran Smart. And now, there is Rory Bryant.
Look at that front bumper. He has had some sort of contact there on that front bumper of Rory Bryant. In fact, what we'll try and do is we'll try and get a little bit of a replay, if we can, from that. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll go to a chase cam. We'll rewind it back just a little bit. We'll go and find out what's happened here. So excuse our primitive technology. I wonder if he's just run into the back of one of the other cars here, because he just seems to have that damage there to the front. So that's already happened halfway through the lap.
I'm wondering whether that's been him on the back bumper of Kieran Smart, maybe. As Peter Moore running the slipstream of Kieran Smart, and he's trying to go towards the outside, can't get through. He's going to try on the cutback now. Rory Bryant, I think, is just going to patiently wait, because I think his impatience probably caught the better of him last time out.
I'm going to have to jump in for a second, because we have got one heck of a ding-dong battle going on right now for 3rd place. Peter Butcher up into 3rd place then ahead of Jack Eyre. We saw that some laps ago, but now, as we said, Jordan Gronkowski into the mix as well. He is just a second behind 3rd place right now. So this is shaping up so wonderfully with only 6 minutes left to go, 5.5 minutes left to go in this session. Blair McConaughey has retired from the race, so hard luck for Blair to see that happening. But yeah, this is a brilliant little scrap going on now for the final step of the podium, Alex.
Yeah, very much the case. Kieran Smart keeping Peter Moore at bay for the final the final position in the top 10. John Lang's got past Michael Weddle, as there is John Lang making the move up the inside of the number 17 from Rethink Racing. And just behind them is, well, Chris Knox still keeping in touch in the BMW, but I don't think he's going to have anything to say in the matter with the way that the BMWs have really, bit of a moment there, tank slapper for John Lang, and that allows Michael Weddle to go towards the outside. He's going to send it round the outside of the missed Apex car, and is Chris Knox going to try and filter his way through? Weddle gets past. Knox is going to be lucky if he gets there before the next corner. He's got the inside line. I think he's got it. Nice job. And there's Sam Harper as John Lang has one rear wheel on the grass. There's Sam Harper, who was our Talk Raceway driver of the day last time out at our opening round.
There's contact, and off goes Chris Knox into the wall. That was a huge moment there, and that was a big bit of contact there. I think that was John Lang, wasn't it, that went straight into the back of him, and Chris Knox having to try and recover his way back on the track. Substantial damage to the rear and the front of that car. He is off into the pits, and that is a huge moment there. Meanwhile, back up with... Sorry, on you go, Alex.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Peter Moore's made the move, so he must have got passed through before La Source. As here's Rory Bryant going side by side with Kieran Smart down the Kemmel Straight, heading towards Lecombe. It's 3 abreast, and they're all jinxing to other sides. So Rory goes to the right, Kieran to the left, Peter in the middle, and who's going to come out on top in the Lecombe? It is Peter Moore. And Rory Bryant makes up a place at the behest of Kieran Smart in that fantastic 3-wide exchange heading down the Kemmel Straight into Lecombe.
That was wonderful stuff there, and my heart was in my mouth as I saw them jinking from one side to the other, but they all make it work, they all make it stick very nicely indeed. Back up with the battle for third place, and it is still Peter Butcher from Jack Eyre and Jordan Gronkowski. I'll be honest, I think all of these drivers will want to 100% keep a position rather than chancing it with just 2.5 minutes to go. I think they might just settle for what has happened here. Back to that battle though for 10th place, and Peter Moore just ahead of Rory Bryant. And look at that, Kieran Smart. Do you know what? We were talking about the tyre fall off. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as we were beginning to believe before the broadcast.
I think you're right, because one of the biggest things now is that because the sunlight is starting to fade, what are we getting? Colder temperatures, which means that there's going to be more air into the radiators. The tyres are going to be able to cope better because the colder conditions means that they need less activation. And also, with the track temperature, it's not going to put the tyres under so much duress. So when they're going through, like, say, Stavelot, Blanchimont, Pouron, Lecombe, rapid changes of momentum as they're coming through the latter part of the circuit, through Blanchimont down into the bus stop chicane. But yeah, this is where it's going to get really interesting, because the tyres are going to really start coming alive in the latter part of the race. So if a BMW driver such as Kieran Smart has done that... Oh, he's in the pits. What's happened to him?
No, he's just crashed out. He's had an incident on that final chicane there, and that's some big damage for the BMW. That now leaves Andrew Hopley as the sole remaining BMW in the top 10. So we were praising the BMW for its resilience, and the cooler tyres maybe helping it stay up there. And that means that Kieran is out so far, I think, of the race. Now, Sam Harper looks to have had an issue as well. Another Porsche having a moment there, and he gets himself recovered and back around the corner. But he definitely had a big moment there, and you can see a little bit of damage to the front of that car. Just 40 seconds left to go on the race just now, and it's been a pretty spectacular race for Fraser Williamson. It's been another exemplary drive as he's done it from start to finish, and we've got another big accident as we see Cameron Ritchie, and I think that was Blair McConaughey who was out. Blair McConaughey, more drama, oh no, and he's stuck in the middle of the track. I don't like the looks of this.
I'm just going to say this following phrase, the number 34, at it again. Sorry, I just had to, but
sorry.
Think of it this way, we are effectively on the final lap of the race, and the gap between Fraser Williamson and Lewis Ward is absolutely humongous. While it was showing 7 seconds, as now, 7.3 seconds as through into Blanchimont for the final time, I think, as the timer has now expired. We've just gone over the 30-minute mark and into the bus stop chicane. It's being prepared, and it's 2 out of 3 for the 369 of Fraser Williamson, who comes out of the bus stop chicane, flashing the headlights aplenty. What a job. 2 wins out of 3. That puts Fraser, I think that's 35 points to Fraser's credit on that particular occasion. So I'm just going to do a quick bit of maths. That puts him on 75 points, and Lewis Ward will pick up a substantial amount. So I think it's pretty much going to be a Ward, Williamson 1-2 respectively in terms of the title standings, provisionally speaking.
Oh, we've got drama towards the end there. Martin Buchan just ahead of Sam Spinell there for 7th and 8th place. And in 9th place, against all odds, it's going to be Andrew Hopley in the BMW. So he is going to be very, very delighted there. 2:35.559. So that car absolutely on pace with those around him. Peter Moore finishing in 10th place. 11th is going to be Rory Bryant. Vic Covey in 12th. Michael Weddle in 13th. And John Lang in 14th. So we'll give you the full results in just a minute as the cars come across the line. But what a race. What a fantastic, fantastic race one here, Alex.
Plenty of drama, plenty of incidents, and with the sunlight starting to fade here at the iconic Spa-Francorchamps, yeah, I'm looking forward to race number 2 here. I can't believe that we're at a virtual Spa-Francorchamps, a track that I've actually visited in person back in 2016. I mean, some of my commentary antics actually take me not too far from Spa. Karting Genk, the home of champions, and Karting d'Espagne, which is based in the Liège region, and that's not too far from Spa-Francorchamps either. But yeah, what a place to race at, and what a fantastic encounter. I'm looking forward to the next 30-minute one, because I'm sure that with that grid set up, that's going to be an absolute belter.
Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic, fantastic race there. So what a performance from everyone all round. Really, really enjoyed that one. And let's give you a confirmation then. Fraser Williamson takes the win from Lewis Ward in 2nd place. Peter Butcher in 3rd from Jack Eyre in 4th place. Jordan Gronkowski in 5th from Sam Corson. Then it's Martin Buchan with Sam Spinell 7th and 8th. 9th and 10th is Andrew Hopley and Peter Moore. And then in 11th place, Rory Bryant from Vic Covey, Michael Weddle and John Lang. Sam Harper, Scott Smith, Kieran Smart, that's 14, 15, 16, 17th. 18th for Ronald Grossman, Gary Brown in 19th, and Grant Angus in 20th place. 21st, Tom Jones. 22nd, Raymond Davies. 23rd is Jacqueline Chalmers. 24th is Sean Doby. Cameron Ritchie in 25th place. 26th is Chris Knox. And then in 27th place, as the server resets itself, we will go through that in the lead up to race number 2. So that is race number 1 done and dusted. We have a slight warm up just now, so what we'll do is we will take a very, very short break, and when we come back, we will be back for race number 2. So, a very warm welcome back to the virtual recreation of Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium, and a very good evening to one certain man in particular. Good evening, Mr. Michael Waddell.
Good evening. You could say the name right first.
Oh, Michael Waddell.
You had to go there, David. You had to go there.
I did. Do you know what it is? It's a little in-joke between me and Michael. So for the 3 years that I was doing the commentary at Not Kill, I could never pronounce his name properly. Despite poor Michael tell me in my ear, it's Weddle, it's Weddle, it's Weddle. So now every time I know his weakness. You've got to exploit it. But Michael, joking aside, that was a really difficult race for you there.
Yeah, I got physics bugged at the start of the race there, so the car pitched itself on two wheels as we came through the chicane, so I had to wait for the whole pack to get through until I could start my own race. So that was interesting.
How was the recovery drive? Because 13th place after all that wasn't that bad.
I know it was good. I was just trying to pick my way through, just trying to make sure I got in the reverse grid positions because that's where I kind of was aiming for. So should be starting second or third. I'm not looking forward to it.
One of the hot topics in chat midweek was the tyre fall off for the BMWs. It didn't seem to fall off anywhere near as much as what we were thinking it was going to happen.
You could see them definitely struggling through the fast corners, especially Poulon. I think it was Chris Knox in the yellow BMW. You could see he was really struggling to get it turned in. So around the fast corners, they're really struggling, but they've got the hard acceleration. But it's just one of those things that's going to have to get looked at, I think.
Yep, swings and roundabouts. SMRC going to be looking at that tonight. Right, round two. What are you going to be doing differently apart from praying to the iRacing physics gods?
I'm going to have to go for the win now. I need to get that win. So we'll see what happens.
Michael Weddle going for the W, right? Okay, awesome stuff. Right, well, we'll leave you to it because there's just a couple of minutes left to go in warm up. 2 minutes to be precise. So thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Michael Weddle. Alex, what's your thoughts ahead of race 2 then?
That's like trying to poke a bear with a big stick asking me that question. But no, I mean, the thing is that we have an opportunity of having a third different winner this time around. Because obviously Fraser Williamson has now won 2 out of the 3 races so far. Who's not to say that? Yeah, and you can see our lovely faces on the camera on the screens at home.
I went and made that just for us.
Yeah, that's when my hair was quite short, and now it's got a bit Tom Hanks from Castaway, but at least I've got rid of the beard.
I spent 20 minutes looking at that just to make sure there wasn't a typo in my name.
I was waiting to see if you had to spend 40 minutes for mine. But yeah, I think the unpredictability factor with this race 2 is going to be off the charts, I think. And when I keep on getting asked about predicting winners, Jake Sanson, mentioning no names, I always go, don't ask me to do that because I can't necessarily say that by doing that I'm going to put myself in the good books of a driver, because normally that puts the curse on people straight away. But I'm just looking forward to one hell of a race again at the fantastic Spa-Francorchamps circuit here. And we've got a little bit less percentage chance of rain, but the wind's picked up to 15 kph.
A little bit cooler as well.
Yeah, I think this might help the BMWs now. As I was alluding to, the colder tyres means that with the physics, in real terms, a tyre should be able to cope when it's not under so much duress. So when you have a hotter track, the tyres are going to fall off the cliff earlier. With a cooler track, it's going to make things that little bit more equal in some respects in terms of tyre wear. But could the BMWs maybe have a bit of a better opportunity this time round? We're going to have to wait and see.
Well, we certainly will. So the warm-up session has come to a close. We're just waiting for the grids, and in fact, there it is. So for the next race, I believe it will be. We'll just double check that for you. I'm getting that it is Sam Harper on pole position from John Lang on row 1. Row 2 is going to be Michael Weddle and Vic Covey. 3rd and 4th, Rory Bryan and Peter Moore, P5 and P6. Andrew Hopley and Sam Spinell, 7th and 8th. Martin Buchan and Sam Corson, 9th and 10th, with John Gronkowski and Jack Hare, 11th and 12th. I'm not sure about that grid, to be honest, if that's absolutely accurate. But we'll keep going, and we'll have a look, and we will confirm it for you if we possibly can. We'll head back then. P13 is Peter Butcher, Lewis Ward in 14th, Fraser Williamson and Scott Smith 15th and 16th, Kieran Smart and Ronald Grossman is 17th and 18th, Gary Brown and Grant Angus 19th and 20th, Tom Jones and Raymond Davies 21 and 22, Jacqueline Chalmers and Sean Dobie 23 and 24. And then let's have a look further down the order as well. Tom Jones and Raymond Davies, Jacqueline Chalmers, Sean Dobie, Mark Cuthbert, Blair McConaughey in 27th, 28th, Anil Singh and David Simon 29th and 30th, Ian Erasmus and Logan Hanna at the back of the grid. I can see all sorts of positions changing about just now, so let's see them on the track then. So are you ready for another 30 minutes, Alex, of awesome racing action?
Indeed, as the lights are about to go red on the starting gantry here at Spa-Francorchamps for the second 30-minute race here in the Stavelot region in Belgium. So it's Harper, so it's a missed apex front row here at Spa-Francorchamps. The lights should hopefully go from red to lights out here, as that's a bit of a jump there from Sam Harper. Let's see. We go lights out, a lot tidier start. It's nearly 3 abreast from 3rd to 5th, heading into La Source for the first time as Michael Weddell up to P2, closing quickly on the back bumper of Sam Harper, and that's Rory Bryant going side by side with John Lang down the hill into Eau Rouge up towards Vadillon for the first time. But look at the gap that Harper's got on Weddell.
As they come up the hill then, this is fantastic stuff, and a great start here. Looks very, very clean and tidy so far. But we still have 30 minutes left to go. That looks like it's Rory Bryant and John Lang fighting it out. You've got Sam Spinell up in that mix as well. Vic Covey, and we see a car slowing right down on the Kemmel Straight there, but down into Lecombe for the first time in race number 2. And the cars are spaced out very, very well. We've got a cracking battle going on there for 5th, 6th and 7th downwards. Martin Buchan on the head of that train.
Yeah, very much the case. But look at Fraser Williamson already up into P8 and is closing on John Lang. He's going round the outside. If he's going to get that, that's going to be pretty good. But I don't think he will. He's slotting behind the car and gets the inside run for the next corner. So that's Fraser Williamson up to P7. It's not just Michael Weddell that's after the W. It's Fraser in the 369 Porsche.
Yeah, and you wouldn't put it past him, despite having that low starting position. He's working his way up very, very nicely indeed. Let's have a look further down the field then, and Sam Corson battling it out with Chris Knox for 15th position, and even further back. Great to see a wonderful recovery drive from Logan Hanna. She's now up to P21 in the BMW. Having a look up the inside of Sean Dobie, that one is not going to work. Blair McConaughey down at the back as well, as we see Peter Moore has had a bit of a moment and he looks to have retired. So Peter Moore, Cameron Ritchie already out of the race, and we saw David Simon having to retire after a bit of a moment, as we see. Is that Vic Covey on the left hand side there? It is. Vic Covey running wide
And then some. I mean, if you want to call runoff, that's into another state here in Belgium, as Chris Knox goes up the inside of Vic Covey, and that's for P13.
Meanwhile, we have a new race leader. Michael Weddell said he was going for the W, and he's put himself in the best possible position. 2.5 minutes in, and it's Michael Weddell fighting his office teammate Rory Bryant. These guys both work at the SMRC, and wow, gloves are well and truly off, and they are racers in their own right. So great to see them getting involved with the championship, and great to see them up at the top of the field as well. Yeah, this is awesome action and some thrilling stuff, and I'm kind of lost for words. Is they're going to go side by side? No, Rory Bryant thinks better of it as they come up through that wonderful iconic corner there, and then it's on to the Kemmel Straight. Rory Bryant flashing the lights. He is trying to get the mind games on already.
But Michael Weddell clearly not having any of it. I mean, Bryant nearly did a Webber on Alonso there through Eau Rouge. As here's Fraser Williamson going up the inside into Lecombe on Martin Buchan, and he gets past. That's P4. And he's made up 11 places. 14 places made up by Chris Knox, starting from P26 to P12. Logan Hanna up from 32nd on the grid up to P19 and is closing on Tom Jones for 18th. Brilliant stuff. What a great run from Logan Hanna. She's absolutely flying.
Yeah, Grant Angus as well tries to make the move up the inside, does Logan Hanna, doesn't quite make it stick, and that's what's happening. Tom Jones and Grant Angus in a battle between themselves for 17th and 18th place, and that's allowing Logan Hanna with that early pace on the BMW to just streak off and catch up. Now Vic Covey is ahead of Jordan Gronkowski. That car's looking a little bit beat up, as we see, going a little bit wide there. The car, this is exactly what I said during race 1, Alex, is these Porsches do not like to be on the curb at all. If you catch one of the wrong curbs, then you will be in trouble. It will unsettle the car, and he is now right in the grasp of Tom Jones. A big battle going on right now for 16th and 17th place, but cracking battles all the way through. Jacqueline Chalmers up to 23rd as well, ahead of Lewis Ward and Raymond Davies. Anil Singh getting a slightly better run at this race than he did in the previous one, but some brilliant little battles all the way through this field, Alex.
Yep, 5 minutes out of 30 completed here at Spa-Francorchamps as Fraser Williamson is closing. Oh, look how close he is on Rory Bryant. And there goes Sam Harper up the inside of Martin Buchan through the bus stop chicane. But Peter Butcher looking to get up the inside of the number 52 from Mist Apex Racing Team and gets the position. Sam Spinell in the toe of the 52. And now Harper's going to get the run going into La Source now. On as, oh no, Gronkowski having a moment, might have been turned around there, through in the bus stop chicane, so drops down to P20, not going well from the number 33.
Back to third position then, Fraser Williamson is just relentless. That is the only word that I can use for him right now, as he is onto the back of Rory Bryant, and you've got to think it's only going to be a matter of time along this Kemmel Straight here as we see a moment for Sean Dobie. Let's have a look there. Yeah, Sean Dobie recovering and getting his way back on, but have a look at this then, side by side, and Fraser Williamson moves up the inside before they even get to Lecombe, and it's into P number 2 for Fraser Williamson. Michael Weddle's heart rate has just gone through the roof, and we can see Peter Butcher and Sam Harper there dropping down the order. There's been big contact between the pair of them at Lecombe there, both of them trying to get recovered there, and that is a huge moment for the pair of them. They were up into P5 and P6, and that has all gone terribly wrong. Sam Harper gets recovered, but he's now down to P21. Anil Singh's good recovery drive looks to have ended. He is now out of the race. He looks to have retired, and Sean Dobie into the pits as well. Let's have a look back up with Fraser Williamson though, because this is now getting very tense indeed. Michael Weddle's heart rate must be through the absolute roof.
I wonder if he's got a beats per minute machine on him. It's probably gone from 140 to nearly 200 at the rate things are going, because Fraser Williamson has been hunting him down like a wolf on its prey here at Spa. And if Fraser Williamson does this and gets past Michael Weddle, we've seen what he's done before. He can do it again and pull away. And that 369 Porsche seems to be really hooked up well. But Weddle's still doing a really good job to hold him off at the minute. But then look at how Rory Bryant is placed, David. The biggest thing here is that if the two tangle in front, Bryant's got the ringside seat. Here comes Williamson as they head to the bus stop chicane. Lights ablaze. Oh, Bryant nearly locks up under braking.
I thought he was going to go straight into the back of him there.
Oh, I thought so as well, and that could have been even more spectacular than the qualifying off that Fraser Williamson had. That meant that he lost out on pole position for race 1. Meanwhile, just behind, look at the amount of cars being led by the Buchan train here.
And there we go, Fraser Williamson into the lead. He just made up a dive up into turn 1, up La Source, and now it's side by side with Michael Weddle. Weddle takes the lead back, but Fraser Williamson just tried to dive up the inside, so for a very brief moment there was into the lead, but that was 100% mind games and to show intent. Meanwhile, there's a huge crash back with Ian Erasmus and Mark Cuthbert there. They two have come into some sort of grief at turn 1 at La Source there. Back with this lead battle though. You'll forgive us for focusing on this right now, because this is amazing action right now as Fraser Williamson has done the unthinkable and takes the lead with 22 minutes left to go in this race.
You know what the biggest thing is, though? I'm looking for Sam Corson and also Lewis Ward. Lewis Ward all the way down in P23, which means he's going to lose the championship lead to Fraser Williamson, irrespective of what happens. Sam Corson currently in P11. Ronald Grossman, P10. Chris Knox up from... You're not going to believe this, David. 17 positions from P26 up into P9. And there is the battle for P9 with Ronald Grossman behind. And then you've got Sam Corson from Rethink Racing. This is an absolute... Oh, big run wide for Knox. That's allowed Grossman to go up the inside.
Contact from Grossman on the entry, and that really unsettled the car there. So, yeah, this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Look at that. Knocks up the inside, Alex.
Side by side for a brief moment, but Grossman takes the position back. And Corson, again, trying to go up the inside is Chris Knox. He's absolutely being as brave as you might think, going against a bear in the woods with literally a Rambo knife in your right hand. Oh, big off for Grossman! Big off for Grossman there.
And he's managed to rejoin, but that has lost him so much time and position there. So he's so lucky that that didn't go any worse than it already did for him, as Sam Corson makes the benefits out of that one and moves up into P9 ahead of Chris Knox. Chris Knox is going to try and outbreak him into the final chicane. But look at that, Scott Smith fighting with Ronald Grossman as well now. So yeah, great stuff. Now what has happened to Logan Hanna? Logan Hanna still in 17th place, so a brilliant performance for her. Again, it came up that she went into the pit, so I did kind of panic a little bit there, but erroneously tripping the pit marker there, so she is still on the track. And what a cracking race we have got going on. Now look at that, Fraser Williamson, 2 seconds of a gap.
What did I say? I said as soon as he gets to the front he bolts, and he's done it again. Cheeky scamp.
Yeah, that
really. But then look at the battle. We've got Spinell, Buchan, Smart and Air. Kieran Smart up into P6 as the leading BMW. Chris Knox and Scott Smith are rounding out the top 11. So great performance by Kieran Smart again in the second race of festivities. Last time at Okayama before the push happened. But this time, let's see how he actually... You know, one of the things here, David, is we've got just under 18 and a half minutes to go here at Spa for the last of the double 30s here at round 2. And again, Kieran Smart is in the right place at the right time and is actually making the BMW as humanly wide as possible. So Jack Eyre has no real chance to try and get past. But in comparison with Okayama, Spa-Francorchamps is a completely different animal.
Certainly is. Now, just back to John Gronkowski, P22 now. He is losing positions hand over fist right now as we see him coming through the second half of the circuit. So John Gronkowski, that car looks a little bit beat up to me, and I wonder if he is really struggling with that car, as we see Raymond Davis having a big moment again. He has been struggling. He's already at the bottom of the field. He's in 26th place, and he is struggling to get that car going round the track in an orderly fashion. So yeah, he's not having the best of nights, is Raymond Davies. But meanwhile, back up with the rest of the cars here, and this is just a thrilling race. Nearly 3 seconds, so that's almost a second a lap that Fraser Williamson is pulling up, as we see Sam Spinell almost off into the lunch area. He's almost off to the restaurant at 15 minutes left to go.
I think he's trying to get in before last orders sound any minute now. But that was an off-track excursion. I think he just ran wide coming through Blanchimont. The second part of it. As again, Kieran Smart just placing the BMW M4 GT4 exactly where it needs to be, coming into the source. So let's concentrate on this battle for a moment. He's got Jack Eyre and John Lang just behind. Now they're going to come down the descent. So we're going to go on the back bumper cam here with Kieran Smart and the number 39 BMW M4 GT4. Down on the approach to Eau Rouge. Now to the front bumper we go. And just the change of elevation, virtually speaking, up the hill to Hardillon. They'll be pulling around 200 or so kilometres an hour, but then have to lift up towards the top of Radion. This can sometimes unsettle the back end of the car. Down the Kemmel Straight, he's not close enough, but look at Jacquet. He's closing. He's getting the toe from the BMW, and sometimes that can be anywhere between 2 to 3 tenths of a second, as again, Jacquet really close up in the braking zone through the first apex of Les Combes, and now they go to the third part of it, so it's 7, 8 and 9. Down the hill they will start to descend. And here goes Air. He's looking towards the inside through into Bruxelles, but can't make it through. But this time, actually, Smart has left the door open. So the car started to drift a little bit wide, but now he's on the run for the apex of the next corner before they go down the descent down towards Pouhon, which is the double left at 12.
And he might have compromised his exit there, because John Lang is rubbing his hands together and trying to make that move stick, but it wasn't to be. So great move there for Jack Air to take P6 from Kieran Smart, and some valiant defending, but look at the gap that's already opened up. That's about 4 tenths of a second between the two of those drivers right now, and it's surely only going to be a matter of time before John Lang can get past Kieran Smart there. Back with the other BMWs, and it is Scott Smith that is in there with 10th place there. Brilliant performance with him. He was quite far down the order last time, and up into the top 10 is Scott Smith with Chris Knox just behind him there. So yeah, this is shaping up very nicely as we reach the halfway stage of this final race of the evening here for the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship, and it's been a brilliant session so far. We've had thrills, we've had spills, but I think this has been one of the most intense rounds that we've had of our eSports championships over both PC and console, Alex.
Definitely the case. I mean, I'm looking forward to the next round at Silverstone, the home of British Motorsport. But here, we're going to be treated to a nighttime finish in traditional SRO fashion here with GT4 machinery, as Chris Knox being dropped by Scott Smith. So Smith now has a gap of around 7 tenths of a second. Logan Hanna still battling away in P17, but has just been passed nearly by Ian Erasmus from missed apex, and Erasmus gets the jump on the BMW. But I must give credit where credit is due, to come back from a lap 1 race-ending incident to now be P18 after starting stone dead last. That just shows the fortitude and motivation that Logan Hanna in the number 9 BMW has to compete against the drivers that we have in this fantastic grid.
Back up to the front end of the grid, Rory Bryant now in third place, nearly 2 seconds behind Michael Weddle, who is firmly securing his grasp on that podium. Second place, he wanted to go for the win, but it just wasn't to be. Grant Angus makes a move past Ronald Grossman there for 15th place. Ronald Grossman now down to 16th place, and John Gronkowski is the big surprise, and Andrew Hopley as well. They are down into 22nd and 23rd position respectively. So a great performance in race 1, and they are really struggling in this second race.
Yeah, very much the case, and it's just a bit difficult really, because drivers will have that opportunity to make a move, and then it all goes horribly wrong. Really does. And Andrew Hopley has been one of the standout BMW performers at the moment, but Kieran Smart again showing how he can be. And there is Cameron Ritchie, another incident for the number 27, and he's just jumped into the pits. So I'm wondering whether he's going to call that a night. But
he was down. I think he's gone. He was in 30th position, Alex. So that's been a really difficult second race for Cameron Ritchie. He started at the back of race 1 and didn't really have a race to write home about. But here we go. Scott Smith in P10 under pressure from Peter Butcher in that Porsche. And the Porsche just is going to swing by on the inside here. But Scott Smith is going to try and hold on, because it's going to be Blanchimont that is up next. And then they will go into the final bus stop chicane, and holds on to that position. He does. Scott Smith still in 10th position. Look at the lap times coming in from Fraser Williamson. How is he able to do that? Still 2 seconds almost a lap faster than anybody else on the track. That is scandalous pace.
He's inhuman. That's what he is. We need to investigate his sim rig for that one. But no, I mean, to run a best lap time of a 2:30.7, and he's still running in the high 2:31.9s. I mean, Michael Weddle Last lap around was a 2-minute 33.3.
Now, what happened to Scott Smith there? Because we saw him going into La Source there, went in very, very wide and pitched the car in. He's got it going again, but he's now lost 2 places to Peter Butcher and to Chris Knox there. So a very, very strange moment. I think he just maybe overcooked the brakes into La Source.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. So in many respects, it could have just been a bit of trying to get in and see what happens, and then all of a sudden, whoops! You can't really do anything about that. But it is what it is, and with the nighttime conditions coming in, it's going to be difficult. So I think that Scott Smith is trying to go up the inside of Chris Knox, and Knox has not let Smith get past in the 101, rocking the good old BMW Motorsport style livery there. I love that. A bit of nostalgia for us petrol heads here in the commentary box, virtually speaking.
It's quite iconic, isn't it? You just love seeing the red, white and the blue of BMW colours being represented there. Let's have a look further up the field then, because Martin Buchan is just behind Sam Spinell. Sam Spinell in 4th place there. 5th place Martin Buchan. 6th place is Jack Hare. John Lang is down in 7th place. He was up in 2nd place at one point, but that is not to be. Kieran Smart making a fantastic recovery drive from P17, I want to say, on the grid, all the way up to P8, so he is definitely not struggling anywhere near as much. Again, we've got 4 BMWs in the top 20. Sam Corson is in 9th place, 10th place is Peter Butcher, Chris Knox is in 11th, then Scott Smith in 12th place, Tom Jones is down in 13th place, just behind that battle between Knox and Smith. Vic Covey has had a really or a race to forget, down 10 places into P14, and he is battling to get away from Grant Angus, who is ahead of Ronald Grossman in 16th place. Ian Erasmus is ahead of Sam Harper, 17th, 18th, and then 19th place for Lewis Ward. Sam Harper, a big faller as well, 17 places he has lost in this race. Logan Hanna down in 20th, Andrew Hopley in 21st, Mark Cuthbert in 22nd, 23rd is John Gronkowski as it stands, and then Jacqueline Chalmers and Anil Singh in 24th and 25th place respectively. So cracking little battle going on here between Sam Harper and Ian Erasmus. That is for 17th and 18th place, but further up the field as well, as we see Lewis Ward having a big moment into the entrance of the chicane there, and that is going to be Lewis Ward's day done and dusted. Unfortunately, he was running up in the top 20 and that all goes wrong for him big time and drops him to the retirements list. You hate to see it, Alex.
Yeah, I know. It's just really a case of just trying to do the best you can and not really having that opportunity. As soon as the car goes sideways or loses traction, you're effectively a passenger, whether it's in the real life world or in the sim racing world like we have here. But at least with this, you don't have the substantial repair bills and invoices that might be coming your way for repairs if required. It
depends if you're like me, Alex, and start throwing your toys out the pram when you lose a race. That happens quite a lot with me. Back to 3rd place then. Rory Bryant is now under huge pressure right now from Sam Spinell. The two of them fighting out for that final podium place with just 7 minutes left to go, or just over 7 minutes left to go, and Rory Bryant really has fallen off the back of that Michael Weddle train, and Michael doing a grand job to secure his 2nd place. I don't think he's going to be in any trouble really anytime soon, but that battle for 11th place between Scott Smith as well and Chris Knox, this is an absolute ding-dong rounds out battle.
Ding ding round however many you want to count now, because there's been so many of them. I think I can't even count them on my fingers and toes, let alone the rest of my 2 arms, my 2 legs. I mean, I've lost count. But that's a great move up the inside for Scott Smith, up into P11 past Chris Knox, and then Tom Jones just behind. So this is a battle for the 11th to 13th, as we've got just 7 minutes on the clock remaining here, as the night time well and truly embedded here at the fantastic 6.9 kilometre circuit here at Spa-Francorchamps. Smith doing a great job here, David, as they're going through Blanchimont on the approach into the bus stop chicane. And I think this battle's going to wage all the way through to the checkered flag.
I think you're absolutely right. Chris Knox is going to get very frustrated, I think, very quickly. He's got to watch out as well because he's got Tom Jones in the midst as well, just waiting like a hyena, just waiting to pounce. But a huge moment there for Grant Angus coming into contact with Vic Covey. Sam Harper caught up in that one as well, and there's all sorts of drama kicking off at the last chicane. That is from P14, 15, 16, 17, all caught up in that one, and they have been impacted massively on that. So a huge bit of drama there for some of the lower running cars in the from sort of P15 to P20. But wow, what can you say to that?
Not much, apart from, well, if it happens, that's racing.
Oh no, too wide.
But all side by side here going into Eau Rouge. These two guys are brave. That's Vic Covey and Ronald Grossman. And Covey gets a run wide just out of it. And Grossman definitely flashing his lights into
he's not happy with that, is he?
He was not happy with that at all. So, yeah, I think Ronald was like saying, "What are you doing, mate? What are you doing? That was not how you take Eau Rouge and Radion. Sorry."
I think that was slightly less polite, but yeah, there we go. So Scott Smith now into 11th place, and Chris Knox now has been jumped by Tom Jones. So Tom Jones sticks it between the two BMWs, and he's going to try and take that 11th place from Scott Smith. I think that he's got slightly more pace in that car, but there's only 5 more minutes, and we've seen how well Scott can defend in that BMW. So this is going to be a very, very intriguing little battle to watch it develop. And let's go on board then with Tom Jones trying to catch up in the Porsche to that BMW in front. Scott Smith using every single inch available of the track here at Spa. And let's see how that one is going to go. Is it round the outside? That's surely never going to work, but he's going to have the inside line. Beautiful move there from Tom Jones. Waited to do that to absolute perfection.
It's not very often that you see around the outside like that one, but brilliant job by Tom Jones. I thought, if he pulls that one off, crikey, that's a good one. And I think it's probably the best move out of the 2 races we've seen so far. As here we go again, Michael Weddle. He's been doing a brilliant job, has Michael, that he's been keeping Rory Bryant at bay, and he's actually dropped him. He's dropped him by quite a considerable margin. The lead now is around nearly 12 seconds between Williamson and Weddle. Bryant in P3. And I'm just wondering, yeah, he's got Sam Spinell closing on his back bumper. And he's got 4 minutes to do it as Sam, as Rory goes in all guns blazing, foot to the floor, top gear, through Eau Rouge on the approach into Radion, now into the Kemmel Straight, as we go on board on the front bumper cam of Sam Spinell in the 97 from Rethink Racing. He's getting a bit closer, but he's not going to be close enough on this particular lap. Give it a lap or maybe 2, depending on how Sam Spinell closes up in the braking zone, as he does now through Les Combes. He nearly runs all 4 wheels off of the circuit there, going through the second part of that chicane.
I don't think that was a braking zone, Alex. I think that was a brace zone.
Definitely. That could have been, if it had gone wrong, that would have been the Code Brown moment as well.
So we'll leave them, and we'll have a little look further back, because John Lang in a cracking little battle now with Sam Corson for 7th position. Just 0.2 of a second separating these guys just now. And one of the drivers that's really, really stood out for me this evening has to be this man here, Kieran Smart. The lead BMW consistently. We've spoke about the problems that the BMWs have got with tyre management, and to be in the top 10 with that problem, consecutively, for me, that's been one of the strongest performances tonight.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of other drivers, a couple of Porsche drivers, a couple of BMW drivers. Kieran is in my radar. Logan Hanna with the drive that she's put on in race 2, having come back from a difficult race 1 that saw her out early. John Lang is another one. Ian Erasmus has done a fantastic job from P31 to P14. So you can't, this is going to be a very tough decision for the talk driver of the day here at Spa-Francorchamps, as we go into the last couple of minutes, and we are now on to lap number 12. So Fraser Williamson, I think he's just crossed the line He's crossed the line already. He's now on. to what is effectively the final lap here as he goes down the hill one final time, heading into Eau Rouge. Like to see some of the telemetry of what speeds these guys and girls are pushing through the corners. So through the Camel Straight, a little bit of a lift. 5th gear, 220 kilometers an hour. That's 140. Now that's up to 6th gear now, and he's going to get close to 235 kph. Yep, 236 before he breaks from 6th down to 3rd. 120 in the first part of Les Combes. Through the exit. Accelerates up the rev range. Down towards Bruxelles. Up to 4th gear. Takes the corner. Slows from 180 down to around about 100. That's less than 60 miles an hour just going through that corner. Up to 3rd. Down into Pouhon, the double left at turn 12. And now he's going to carry the momentum through. Up the gearbox, up the rev range. The speed will increase heading into turn 13. Now decreases a little bit slightly. As he'll now go through into Stavelot very, very shortly. Which will be a double left through turns 15 and 16. So down from 5th at around nearly 210 kilometers an hour. Through the next corner. So now this is where he's going to end up going through Stavelot. And it's a lot of commitment here, David, because it's a double right-hander through Stavelot onto Paul Frère before Blanchimont. And he's consistently keeping that throttle pinned. And he's flashing the lights because he knows he's got a double win here. And that's 3 out of 4. So I'm just going to keep with him at the minute as he now goes through Blanchimont at over 140 miles an hour in 5th gear, heading through into the bus stop chicane for the final time as the night time is well and truly settled here at Spa-Francorchamps. Through the bus stop chicane, one final time comes the 369 Porsche Cayman GT4 of Fraser Williamson, who does the double here in Belgium at Spa-Francorchamps. And look at the gap, David. It's absolutely humongous.
Absolutely monumental. 14 seconds, 15 seconds at the end there. That is just completely absurd. A wonderful, wonderful second place there for Michael Weddle. He didn't really have much to do there once he got past the line. Rory Brighton holding on to 3rd place ahead of Sam Spinell. Martin Buchan, we didn't see that on the final lap, just managing to pip Jack Eyre to the line there as well. Sam Corson takes 7th place from John Lang. 9th place is going to be Kieran Smart, but what a wonderful, wonderful finish to this evening. And we'll keep going further down the list there. Scott Smith is going to finish in P12. That was a brilliant, brilliant drive from Scott. Big, big fan of his, and great to see that. Tom Jones was in 11th. Chris Knox is going to finish in 13th place. Grant Angus with P14. But look at that. Ian Erasmus up 17 places into, 16 places up to P15. That is a stunning drive from him. Ronald Grossman is P16. Sam Harper, P17. Andrew Hopley is P18. Vic Covey is in 19th place. Mark Cuthbert finishes in 20th position. He comes across the line just now. John Gronkowski, didn't really go too well for him in race number 2. He finishes in 21st. Jacqueline Chalmers, brilliant finish for her. 22nd, as is Logan Hanna. Fantastic. Oh my goodness me. Let's pretend we didn't see that. John Gronkowski.
I'm just going to say it. Mark Cuthbert has just done a Fraser Williamson at the end of the second race.
He certainly does. That was
that was a doozy.
That was brilliant. I'm so glad I caught that on cam. Looked fantastic, but a brilliant, brilliant race there. And what can you say to that one? We'll wait for the results to come in. But a fantastic, fantastic night here at Spa. We'll have a little break. We'll come back in just a couple of minutes' time with some driver interviews. And thanks very much. Bear with us, and we will be right back. And to save you having to wait another 3 minutes, we're back live to pick up the pieces here. We'll pop on the results here for you from that race. But what a fantastic race it was. Fraser Williamson making it 2 out of 2. And I think it's about time that we hand it over to Alex Goldschmidt to do the post-race interviews. First up is going to be Fraser Williamson.
Well, Fraser, you've done the double here at Spa-Francorchamps by, I think it was 9 seconds in the first race, but 15 in the second, and now you take an extensive lead in the championship heading to Silverstone in just a couple of weeks' time. Just tell us your thoughts after flashing the headlights like a good one across the start-finish line on race 2.
Yeah, if you don't flash the headlights, are you really celebrating a race win? But that was good. That's what was planned to happen at Okayama as well, but sadly it never happened. So it was nice to finally put it together and survive a race 2.
Yeah, and obviously the start was a lot cleaner this time around, but you were siding through the field. I think before both myself and David noticed it, we saw that you were battling with Michael for the lead. You'd passed Rory, and then you'd sort of gotten Michael, and then within 2 laps you'd done a Sebastian Vettel. You made up 2 seconds within a couple of laps of Spa, which, considering how quick you were, and you were running as low as the high 2-minute 30.7s, and everyone else was running anywhere between a 2:32 and to like a 2:38. So that car of yours is absolutely hooked up perfectly.
I wish it felt like it was hooked up perfectly. That thing felt rubbish come the end. Genuinely felt horrific to drive in the last 3 laps of both races. I was sitting there just trying not to put it in a wall, because you'd come out of Pujon and the rear end would try and get on you out of radio, and it was the same. Only place I had confidence was Blanchimont, which is quite weird.
Yeah.
Especially in a GT car, because you're normally sideways, backwards, and upside down there. But you know what? I'll take it. We've got 2 race wins, and we'll find out how slow I am at Silverstone next week, because I've never driven a GT car around it.
So we've got a 1-hour race as well, so a different proposition altogether. Fraser, congratulations on your double victories here at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll see you at Silverstone.
Cheers.
Well, Michael, great job to finish P2, even though you told myself and David before the race that you were going for the W. But a nice, great battle between yourselves, Fraser and Rory, throughout the initial stages. But then to get the break on Rory, as he'd been pushing hard. And give us your thoughts after what's been a better race evening here at Spa.
I was kind of hoping Fraser was going to get caught up in an incident, to be honest. But it didn't happen. I think at the end of the second lap, I looked at the standings and I seen Fraser was already 5th. I was like, oh, come on, give me a break. But no, happy with that. Take 2nd.
And obviously now going on to a different race format. And obviously it's a single 60 next time at Silverstone. How are you going to be feeling and preparing, ready to get yourself into battle to hopefully challenge for a W next time out in a 1 race encounter? So it's a different proposition altogether.
Yeah, it's going to be totally different. I think with the longer format race, the tyres are going to get more into it. You're going to have to look after the rears a bit more. So it's all going to be about tyre management. So we'll see what happens. So we just need to be a bit easier on the throttle pedal. But
Brilliant.
Good.
Well, congratulations on 2nd place in race 2, Michael. We'll see you at Silverstone.
See you then.
Right, we've got loads of people for you to speak to, Alex. So we've got tons and tons and tons. So let's have a look who we've got on.
Right. Well. Let's bring a couple of drivers in at a time, shall we, to make things a little bit easier. We'll go with Scott Smith, and we'll also go with Tom Jones as well. Let's bring them in.
Right.
So, well, we'll get Scott in first. Scott, congratulations! Great job out there. Great battle between yourself. Tom, we also had the sister BMW of Chris Knox, and also the other guy that's in with us in the commentary box at the moment, Tom. Just tell us the race from your perspective.
Oh, that was better, eh? Yeah, I enjoyed that. Battle with Tom and a couple of the other boys at the end there was quite intense. My tyres were going on the car, and then I thought, right, I'm going to I thought I was letting one of the quicker boys through, and I went wide just at turn 1 and lost like a second and a half. But I think I don't know who, one of our BMWs came through after that as well, and just I was just head down then trying to catch up. As I say, I was just trying to improve from what I did last week, and I'm happy with what I've done. So yeah.
Now, one of the biggest questions I really need to ask, obviously you're one of the leading BMW drivers here at Spa. The colder conditions, obviously we went from daytime to nightfall. Did that help to keep the tyres a bit more alive in terms of competitiveness? I know that it's not been easy for the BMWs because it is a new product that's been launched on the iRacing platform. But did you feel that you had a bit more confidence in the car in race 2?
Not in the tyres, no. In my setup, yes. I've done a lot of testing in the past 2 weeks going forward into this round. My setup last week let me down, so I've put the time and effort into the setup. We all know there's an issue with the iRacing tyre model with the BMW overheating. Yes, it certainly overheat, and once they're overheated after kind of lap 15, there's no bringing them back, regardless of whether you bring the conditions down, increase humidity. It just becomes a really different car from what it was at the first half of the race, and you've got to adapt your driving to suit that. And it's just, it's quite frustrating just when you see the Porsches coming by you, and especially into the hairpin at Spa. Some of the Porsches were just going round there like I was standing still. I mean, that's all got to be tyre model.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your efforts tonight, Scott, and look forward to seeing you in Silverstone for round 3.
Look forward to it. I'll see you later, guys.
Thank you very much. Right, next up, the 24 of Tom Jones. Tom, another good showing from yourself again as the nighttime fell here at Spa. Just tell us about the battling between yourself, Scott, and Chris in terms of a perspective from a Porsche angle, because the Porsche is slightly underpowered, but not by much, but it's nearly 100 kilos lighter. I mean, how was the setup for you evolving as the evening went on?
To be honest with you, the setup was a bit of a sketchy one. I was coming off the back of Le Mans, we didn't really, as a team, we didn't plan on really put any time into really getting a setup properly. So we just used the Silverstone one because it was like the first one we grabbed. So basically, I had to avoid all the curbs, but thankfully, like as the night went on, I felt I was quite confident at Spa during the night because I do really enjoy Spa and it's a track I know really well, and so I just sort of felt more comfortable as the night went on. And I think that really helped when got into the fight with the BMWs. I'd seen Pete go past them, and I think I was kind of glad when he caught them because I knew that I was going to bring them back to me a bit more, so I'd be able to get in the mix with them. And I spent a couple laps trying to get past them while they were battling, and it wasn't working, as you probably saw. And then I think it was lap 10. I noticed I think it was Scott braked too early into the first corner, and I got on the brakes and then looked up and saw the brake marker. I was thinking, hang on a minute, this is 50 meters before I should be braking. So I just let off and just got alongside him and got through. And then I think to be honest with you, when I got the next guy on later on the lap, I just missed my braking point really, and then got on the brakes as hard as I could. Luckily, he was trying to hold the inside, so then the thing held up and I got round the outside and got it going. So I was really lucky.
Looking ahead to the next round at Silverstone, a 1-hour race, 60 minutes. It's going to be a different challenge for you guys and girls out there because a very testing circuit at Silverstone, a fantastic track in its own right, of course, alongside with Spa, where we just raced. How do you see things panning out possibly next time out for you personally?
I'm probably going to get lapped by Fraser. I can see that one happening. Probably a couple of times with his pace because he's insane. I'm hoping the idea is that I've noticed in these series I normally make a few mistakes in the first race and then tidy it up for the second. So that's why I've quite liked the 2 system. But it means for this race at Silverstone coming up, I'm just going to have to be extra careful to begin with, and then just let my pace build and then use the extra time we've got to work back into it, and hopefully maybe with a bit of pit strategy be able to get back past them.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot for your time, Tom, and all the very best of luck when we see you on track next time at Silverstone.
Thank you very much, guys. See you.
Right. Okay. I think
we've got 3 drivers left.
Yeah, let's bring them all in at the same shout. So Jack Eyre, Peter Butcher, and Sam Corson. And as Sam has been pulled in first, let's go to him. Sam, just tell us from your perspective about how the racing has panned out for you here at Spa. I mean, obviously, a good job coming up from P10 to P7 in race number 2, but obviously, you were coming into this round leading the standings, just 2 points ahead of Lewis and Jack, if memory serves me correctly. And now it's all changed again because Fraser's managed to get away. Just how do you look to sort of build back up coming into Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time?
I wouldn't really say anything went wrong this round particularly. It was a good fun round. Race 1 was a bit lonely. I had no one really to play with. I was a bit unfortunate in race 2. I got a slowdown going through a rouge, avoiding a crash. So yeah, I ended up losing like 1.8 or 2 seconds as a slowdown. So all of the field just went flying past me. So I wasn't really able to do anything in race 2. So it was kind of a bit out of our control, but it was still a great race. It was fun kind of battling through the traffic again in the second race. So it was just a good round, good fun.
You looking forward to Silverstone next time out? Because that's going to be one mega track just like the one we just raced at.
Yeah, it should be fun. I think the racing should be nice and clean again. It seemed a lot clearer this round. So yeah, I think Silverstone will be absolutely amazing with these cars.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. All the very best of luck next time out. We'll now turn our attention to Peter Butcher. Peter, it's been an up and down race evening for you, hasn't it, at Spa? But you've definitely shown some really good performances, and we're definitely keeping you in our crosshairs here in the commentary box as someone that's going to move forward. I mean, just tell us about your evening here at Spa.
Well, I didn't really have much expectation going in. I didn't have any pace at all in practice, and for some reason, it just came together in qualifying. I was quite pleased by the putting it in P3 and then holding that just about from my teammate Jack in race 1. Race 2 started really well. I managed to avoid all the carnage, got up to P6 with Fraser. And we tried to hold it around the outside of Sam Harper, and we made contact and spun out at Les Combes, which was really unfortunate. I just didn't leave enough room, and that pitched us both rounds. So it was a second race that could have been for me, really, and I'm a bit disappointed after kind of surprising myself with my early pace, and definitely looking forward to Silverstone a lot.
So, well, all the very best of luck, Peter. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good rest of the evening and a good weekend.
Thank you.
Last but by no means least, to conclude our interviews, Jack Eyre. Jack, up from P12 to P6 in the second race here at Spa-Francorchamps. Obviously, it's the championship dynamic has changed, but it's a marathon, not a sprint in this championship, and we've still got quite a few good, interesting circuits. Just talk to us first about your race, your 2 races here this evening, just how it went from your perspective.
Well, in practice, for example, I felt pretty good. I was able to get quite close to the sharp end in terms of times, but unfortunately scrubbed 2 quali laps off the start, and then my tyres seemed to not agree with me. So P4 on the grid, I'd have liked to have been closer to Fraser and Lewis at the front. Race 1 was great. Me and Pete trading times for a few laps. It was good fun. And yeah, I mean, I'd like to have a similar result in race 2, but the carnage that Sam sort of tried to avoid at the top of Radion, I also got a slowdown just from avoiding it, unfortunately, cutting the track. But again, I'd rather cut the track than get involved in any contact up at the top of Radion there. But yeah, no, at the end of lap 1 in race 2, I was down to 15th after starting 12th. So the couple of places I gained from the crash, I lost in the slowdown. And yeah, it was good to fight my way as far through the field as I possibly could. I had a great battle with Martin there at the end, and 3/10 at the line. It was good fun. So yeah, from my perspective, at least, very clean racing this week, and I'm looking forward to Silverstone next time around.
And any other tracks on the calendar that really are taking your fancy to get the opportunity to compete at here?
Well, I really like Donington Park. Obviously, it's the closest track to me in real life, being in the East Mids, of course. But apart from Donington, I'm really looking forward to Interlagos. That's a track that I've not actually raced on iRacing before. Obviously, I bought it for this championship. But I've, of course, raced it on other games around Interlagos, and it is a really nice track. I enjoy it, but yeah, it'd be a learning curve in iRacing, especially because things on iRacing compared to other simulators and whatnot are quite different. So looking forward to the challenge.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jack. Well done this evening. We look forward to seeing you at Silverstone.
Thank you very much.
Well, there we go, David. All the interviews completed, and
we've just got one last thing to do, don't we?
We do. We have to discuss the talk driver of the day. And there were multiple people that came up, which you and I discussed, and for very good reasons. But I think we are unanimously one-sided in who our driver of the day, the talk driver of the day here at Spa-Francorchamps is. And there is only one driver. It just so happens to be a BMW driver. And as we say that person is on screen right now. Kieran Smart is our talk driver of the day for round 2 here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, it was a really, really difficult choice. I mean, obviously, we saw the lights to flag win in race 1, and then a stunning performance through the field from Fraser Williamson. But for both of us, what caught our eye was Kieran's consistent, dogged determination in that BMW. We heard from Scott Smith earlier on about the BMW's tyres and how much of a nightmare they were to go after lap 15, and the fact that he was able to keep on consistently in the top 10 on both races. It was the defensive driving and the sheer logic that he was able to display in that car. For me, it was a really clear choice, and just edged him above the other drivers that we considered for the torque driver of the day today.
Yeah, I mean, including the likes of Logan Hanna was actually brought up in that conversation. Ian Erasmus in the 808 up from P31 to P15 in race 2. Very, very calm, concise drive there. So Ian did a really, really good job. But yeah, I think for both of us, I mean, considering the fact that the BMW is a new car to iRacing, and as Scott, you just said, and I'll repeat it, is that Scott was saying that obviously the time model is very different. But, we'll wait to see what happens ahead of round 3 at Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time. But what an evening here to cap things off here at Spa-Francorchamps, as the night time has quite clearly fallen here in Stavelot. So yeah, it's been a pleasure once again by your side, and I'm so looking forward to being at Silverstone in just a couple of weeks.
Yep, 2 weeks' time is going to be our round 3 at Silverstone, the home of British motorsport. What an exciting round we've got set up. From myself, David Christie, and from Alex Goldschmidt, thank you so much for joining us for round 2 of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Until then, take care and have a lovely, lovely evening.